Well, good morning, everybody. David here with some more mind-blowing research. You're going to be blown away by today's video. I'm going to talk about just flat destroying the globe. I'm using the own flat earther proof to poke holes in the dome. Here we go. This is a recap from Wednesday's video. You'll remember firmament is a word found in the King James Version of the Bible, translated from a Hebrew word, rakia, which has that Hebrew, those of you that read Hebrew, I won't read the verse. You can read it, and you saw it on Wednesday. So the literal translation of that word rakia is an extended surface, expanse, or sky. It could very well mean expanse of the heavens above the earth. There are some translations, several Bible translations that translate it sky. Just for to show you how often it's used 17 times in the Old Testament, 2 in Psalms, 5 times in Ezekiel. I think we said last time, if you recall, the book of Psalms is a book of poetry and songs. So take that with a grain of salt. It's used 5 times in Ezekiel, and every one of those times it's in a vision or a dream. So here are some problems that I see with these guys and their dome. The word dome is colloquial interpretation for firmament. Again, many Bible scholars prefer the word expanse or sky. The book of Psalms has firmament twice, and again I said Psalms is a book of poetry or songs. The book of Ezekiel has firmament 5 times. Each one of those is a dream or a vision. The last problem that I see that we talked about is that flat earthers have no consensus about the size, the thickness, the composition, how the rotation works. They don't know any of that. Here is the flat earth nightmare that I noticed. Nobody ever talks about. They don't want to bring this up. In Genesis 1, 16, 17, it says, "And God made 2 great lights, the greater light, the sun, to rule the day, and the lesser light, the moon, to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth." Now this is a big problem, a giant problem. We always hear flat earthers talk about the stars are fixed in a solid dome and the sun and moon circle below that because everything is inside the dome. But if you read verse 17, it clearly says that all, the sun, the moon, and the stars were all fixed into the firmament. So you can't just say the stars are in the firmament and they circle about the earth, because if you take the Bible literally, all the sun and the moon are fixed in there as well. And this brings up another problem that I've talked about before. The planets, the word planet means wandering star, were discovered eons ago. They don't even know how long ago planets were discovered. They're clearly seen often in the night sky. I don't know how many times they tell you on the news, you know, Venus is visible, Jupiter, Mars, even Mercury. So whether you want to call them planets, you want to say they're just stars, whatever you do, they're clearly not fixed in the solid dome like other stars. They move. Some of them go in retrograde motion. They just don't behave like other stars behave. Okay, so the big winner today, there's one massive problem about the dome that no one talks about again. How often do we hear flat earthers say there has to be a dome because a gas, the atmosphere, always expands to fill its container. It can't have a vacuum on one side because it has to be in a container. Right? How many times have you heard that? So let's assume, just for the purposes of this video, that the dome is 100 kilometers high, 62 miles. This is a pretty low amount. Many people say it's higher. I just heard one that was 3,000 miles. It could be different, but obviously the flat earth community can't come to a proof or a consensus or something. So let's look at this diagram here. You can see clearly that the atmosphere goes only up to about 90 kilometers. The dome, we just assumed, goes up to 100 kilometers. So there's this 10-kilometer space here that the atmosphere doesn't fill. Why is that? Why doesn't it fill the container, right? And also, we all know that if you start down here, there's a gradient of air pressure. Starts at 14 pounds per square inch, and it decreases as you go up. And that has been obviously verified. Nobody disputes that. But why doesn't that continue up into the top of the dome? And why is it a gradient and not just equal pressure everywhere? So here's one last tidbit that I heard that kind of grated against me. I heard this quote from DITRH. Fight the Flat Earth was doing a video. If you haven't watched Fight the Flat Earth, you should watch him. He's really good. DITRH was saying, we live on an incredible, amazing, beautiful, stationary flat Earth. And there's the link. So let me just show you a little bit of a calculation. The radius of the flat Earth circle, which I showed in an earlier video, is 6,214 miles, which is 10,000 kilometers exactly. That is A in this diagram over here. You can see H, as we assumed, this height of the dome is 62 miles or 100 kilometers. The spherical radius of the flat Earth dome then can be calculated. Obviously, this radius is bigger than this h because of the size, the radius a, so it has to be bigger. So I calculated that to be 311,934 miles, which is 502,009 kilometers. So this total volume of the dome above the flat Earth is going to be this number, this calculation right here, which is 3.8 times 10 to the 9 cubic miles, which is the same as 15.8 times 10 to the 9 cubic kilometers. So think about that this is the total of creation. The flat earthers believe that we live on a finite, flat, motionless earth that looks like a terrarium universe, 3.8 times 10 to the 9 cubic miles in size. There's nothing else. Everything is within that dome. There's nothing beyond that. We've shown this to be very flawed. There are just too many inconsistencies and just wrong. It's just wrong. Spherical Earth proponents know that we live on a truly incredible, amazing, beautiful Earth surrounded by a solar system, galaxy, and an infinite universe, all moving together in an amazingly choreographed dance, with each member performing its part flawlessly. So go ahead and look at these two things. You decide which sounds like reality, and that'll be all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up, and I would appreciate it.